Hello. Welcome to this session of Pursuing God with David while quarantined. And today we are in 2 Samuel, the 7th and 8th chapter. And we are contrasting David with Saul and how much different David was than Saul. And we are seeing that David was a man after God's heart. And what does that mean? How was David a man after God's own heart? And we're looking at instances and illustrations in David's life that reveal David's true heart, that he was a man after God's own heart. And today we are in 2 Samuel chapter 7 and 8. And we'll begin with the second part of 2 Samuel 7, begin with verse 18. Where David responds to God's message to him. And so David is talking to God. It's a prayer. David is praying. And he begins by saying, "Who am I, O sovereign Lord? And what is my family that you've brought me this far? And if this were not enough, sovereign Lord, you've also spoken about the future of the house of your servant." You see, David had humility. He realized that he is king not because of his power and ability, but because of God, that God has put him where he is. And out of that humility comes an attitude of gratitude. He is grateful to God for doing what he has done. He is not prideful. He is not arrogant. He is not self-centered. He is humble and grateful to God because God has blessed him and put him where he is as king. And also that David worships God. He says, "O sovereign Lord, for the sake of your word, according to your will, you have done this great thing and made it known to your servants. How great you are, O sovereign God." He worships God. He gives God praise and glory. You know, worship means to give worth to. And that's what David is doing. He is praising God. And we have the Psalms of David, his songs that he wrote out of worship to God. And we see that David had a wonderful relationship with God. He spoke to God. He prayed to God. He was grateful to God. He understood God's hand was in his life, and he gave worth to them. He said, O Lord, Almighty God of Israel, you've revealed this to me. And God spoke to David and revealed to him. Now, and because David worshiped God and had this attitude of gratitude, then he gave to God. In chapter 8, it says, King David dedicated these articles to the Lord, as he had done with the silver and gold from all the nations he had subdued, Edom, Moab, the Ammonites, the Philistines. He also dedicated the plunder from all the other peoples that he defeated. You see, David gave to God. He appreciated what God had done for him. And so out of his gratitude, he gave back to God the best that he had. You know, our story a few days ago about his great men, David's mighty men, sneaking into Bethlehem to get him a drink of water. And when they brought it back, David didn't feel worthy to drink it, but poured it out as an offering to God, giving God the best that he had. And so David had a wonderful, close relationship to God. He loved God. He wasn't a perfect man, as we're going to see in the next few chapters, but he loved God, and when he sinned, and he will, that he repented and he came back to God, and there was grace. Then, the last part of chapter 8, it says this, David reigned over all of Israel, doing what was just and right for all his people. When you have a right relationship with God, you will have a right relationship with other people. When you worship God and give God praise and glory, when you're humble before him, then you will also give other people what they are due. You will give respect and honor to other people and treat them correctly. You know, our relationship to God and our relationship to other people, those relationships are tied up together. And when one is out of kilter, they're both out of kilter. If you're out of sorts in your relationship to other people, you are out of sorts in your relationship to God. And when you're out of sorts with your relationship to God, you're out of sorts with your relationship to other people. And since David had this great relationship with God, his humility, his love for God, then that transferred to having a good relationship to the people. And he did what was right and just for all of his people. And he will become the greatest king that Israel ever had because of his relationship to God. Not his abilities, not his talents, but he knew God and he trusted God and he loved God. And then God blessed David. You know, friends, what a lesson that is for us. When we serve God and live for him, when we have that right relationship with him, then our relationships with others are put in their place and they are correct. And then God blesses our life. Doesn't mean everything goes perfectly well, not at all. David had struggles, but it means that at the core of our being, there is a security and a peace. There is a recognition of God's place in our life. And that gives us that security and peace so that we can go through difficult times. When we stumble and fall, we know that God is there to pick us up and to love us. So I hope that you are in right relationship to God. If not, God seeks a relationship with you. Just speak to him as David did. Ask him to come into your life to forgive you, and he will. And you will find that God is truly the best friend you'll ever have. Thank you for joining us today. I'll see you tomorrow.